All right, everyone. Welcome to our Too Posh podcast. I am Gabrielle. I am your host today, here with my amazing co-hosts, my daughter Marcella.
Hi.
And our special Bernie.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Gino still can't make it for a couple more shows because he is major into tennis training with someone. And our amazing DJ Spider.
We're in the building today.
I feel like I want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick my own song.
All you got to do is send it to me.
Okay.
I'm back here.
I think
I'm
we
back
all
here
need a
coming
small
up with,
snippet. We all need a
That's
small
awesome.
snippet.
yeah, I'm back here coming up with theme songs all day.
Oh, good.
Fun.
I might send you a few.
We are so excited to welcome our special guest today, Vivian Ralena Williams. Is that how you say it?
Ralena. Yes.
Ralena.
So my middle name is a cross between my father's middle name, which is Ramos, and my mom's middle name, Elena. So Ralena.
Oh, that's cool. That's
I
creative.
love it. Well, Vivian is a Too Posh model. That's how we met her. That's how I met her. Marcella.
I met her during a music video shoot.
Shut it down.
She was choreographing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we met.
Isn't that
What
weird?
video shoot were you guys doing?
A music video with Matthew JC actually had
Oh, wow.
contacted me, and it was about 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You're gonna meet this girl Vivian. She's gonna choreograph for you," because I was the love interest of the
Yeah.
singer. And I was like, "Okay." So
Okay, so this is a story. You don't know this, but
Tell us.
they were like, you need to choreograph this. And I was like, okay, who's the lead? And they told me, and I'm a nerd. I research everything, especially if I don't know it.
like my mom.
And I like looked on her Instagram and was like, I'm choreographing for who? What? Why am I doing that? She can do it herself. like, she
That's
probably
But we
can do it way
had
better.
so much fun.
We had so much fun.
In
How
the
long
gym.
ago? How long ago was it?
2 years ago.
We need to put that up. Okay,
Oh, the video is good.
The
What is
video is
the
really
Wheels
good.
on the Bus music video?
No,
no.
It's a really good one.
It's a good one.
What's the so the band is what?
What was it called? Vivian. What was it called?
Yeah, really good, ladies. It was
Fact
really
or
good.
fiction? Fact or fiction?
It was Fact or
on
Fiction.
the floor.
She remembers.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Fact or Fiction on the floor.
I was in the credits.
Yeah. And Vivian's in it, and I'm dancing in it, and she's dancing with me too.
Uh-huh.
And
So
we
fact or fiction? Fiction?
fiction called On the Floor. That's
yeah,
right.
and one of our friends, Eric, brought
His
he owns
Lamborghini.
The,
Oh, is this the one you
Exotic
guys did a couple
cars.
years ago at
Yes.
Sweet?
No, we did it at.
It was right.
No, it was at a club, but which one was it? Avenue.
yes.
Avenue. This is 2 years ago.
Okay, I
Me,
think I remember
Zoe
that one.
Blake, and then
I remember that
who
video.
just got married,
Yeah, I remember the video.
and me and her.
It's all over YouTube.
It is all over YouTube.
All over
All
it.
Yeah, here it is. Orange Lamborghini.
Yeah, that was
Well,
Eric.
Eric, he owns Exotic Motors in Addison,
Addison.
Texas, and he has all the exotic cars, and he brought the car.
His card. That's
to
how
that
I met
video.
Eric.
Yeah.
Oh, look
He
at
is
you
such
here
a
doing
good
your
friend.
makeup on the
Oh, yeah.
floor. What's up?
Had to do my lip gloss. So that's how Vivian and I met.
Mhm.
Dude, that's so cool.
It was cool.
Yeah,
Random.
I remember this. I remember seeing this video.
Yeah, it's a legit one. And so her and I clicked immediately,
Mhm.
and now she models for us, and she.
Hey,
And
hey.
I was very excited when I met her. And my brother and his friend who were here from Austria, they saw all the models coming through. Well, they couldn't stop talking about Vivian. They're like all day long. She was our favorite. She's the sweetest.
I didn't even know this.
Oh my gosh, they had to take a
She
picture
seems,
with
she
her.
seems really shy. Guys.
Yeah.
She seems
Yeah,
like
for
she
those
is
of you
really
who
shy.
don't know, Bernie asked me when we got here, who is Vivian? And I was like, oh my gosh, she is the sweetest. She is beautiful. And all of a sudden, she goes, hello.
3 seconds after you
Here's
started telling me.
Vivian. She is like a superstar.
She
Well,
has a lot of amazing energy.
Energy.
And
That was the thing I noticed the second you walked in was awesome energy.
awesome energy.
Thank you.
do you know that little thing? I just saw a picture. There's a lot of people in the crowd, and it says, you can be a light to people. Like when your energy comes in and it's like her, she would be the bright light, and all of a sudden it trickles down to others.
That's awesome.
That's what I
Thank
feel like you
We
are.
don't have enough of those kind of people in this world.
I know.
For sure.
Cry. You know, like the other day when I was like, "You're so beautiful, you're amazing," and I was just like, "Oh my god!" And you're like, "Just talk to me everywhere I go."
So we did a photo shoot not too long ago at a pool, and out of nowhere, Vivian hands me this card, and I have it on my fridge.
Me too. She hands
And
me one too.
It's like the sweetest. Like people don't do that for each other
Nobody
anymore.
does that kind of stuff
and
at
it's
all.
just this
Just
card,
random?
just handwritten
Handwritten.
really
That's
fast, and left it for me. She's like, I wanted to give you this, and it's just words of affirmation, and it's just so sweet. And I was like, if I'm ever having a bad day, I'm gonna call Vivian and be like, I'm horrible. She'll be like,
Shit,
no, you're
I'm
not.
gonna call Vivian if I'm having a bad day. Vivian,
Tighten up.
all right, I don't want to call you anymore.
I'm just kidding. You're perfect. You're pretty.
No, it's true.
Come on, Mama.
A lot of energy.
This show, we're going to get to
Need some
know
bosom?
Vivian a little bit better. So we want to know a little bit. Tell us about you and who you are, a tiny little snippet of how you grew up. And I'm going to ask you some questions, but just a little bit. And don't make it too long. Just tell us a little bit how you grew up, where you grew up, where you're from. Yeah, where you're from.
Okay. Are you ready?
You ready?
So I was born in Riverside, California. My parents split up when I was really, really young. And so my mom and I flew to Texas and we lived with my grandma. It was really hard growing up. We were really poor, didn't have a lot of money. My mom was constantly working. I was the oldest of 3. And so I was alone a lot. And weird, but I was very, very shy. And my grandma,
What?
yeah.
Wow.
I was just observant because everything was constantly changing around me. I didn't know how to act or how to perceive anything because it was like always new town, new city, new people, new town, new city, new people.
Hard.
And I was just like this little girl and it was overwhelming. And so I was too sweet. You think I'm sweet now? Oh God. My mom cried the first day that I went to school because she was like, they're going to murder her. They're going to just
Was this in California? Was this in California or here in Texas?
Texas.
How old were
And-
you when you moved here?
I was 2.5, so
Okay.
almost 3.
I cried when she went to school too.
You did.
I think every year.
She still cries.
My baby. Yeah. And I think that my grandmother said I was meek. So I was just very kind and loving and giving and sweet. Like I would give my lunch money to my friends if they wanted to eat like ice cream. And I'd just be like, I don't need to eat today. Here you go. It's fine.
My son's that way.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? No.
Like, speak up for yourself.
It's your money.
I'm like, no, it's fine. They need it. They wouldn't ask if they didn't need it.
Right.
And so that was a little hard because I was easily a target to be bullied. And I wasn't as put together back then. It was kind of like my hair is kind of crazy and like poof all the time. And I was just I was just a tomboy. I'd like to like swing on trees and play video games, and I was dirty all the time. And I just liked being out in the open and in the wild. And I don't know. It was hard for me to make friends because I was just so sweet and people knew how to take advantage of that.
Right.
And they manipulated me and I didn't know what to do. And
Let me ask you real quick. The siblings, like you are the oldest of 3. Are those your real brothers and sisters?
No, it's my half brother and sister.
Okay.
What are their age difference between you 3?
I am 4 years older than my brother and 6 years older than my sister. And then from my dad's side, I have a baby sister who is 6.
Now.
Wow, that's awesome. That is like, I was going to say like
That's
me
like
and
our
Jolie,
story.
but
Yeah.
I love how women specifically, without saying the age, y'all can separate it out. She's like, it's 6 years younger than this and that, and no age put in there, which is fine. I just think it's funny how a girl.
I get it. There's
I
no
just caught
age.
that. There was no age. All I heard is difference in numbers.
There is no age.
Yeah, it was interesting. That was good.
There is no age. Like Prince says that like there's no point.
Yeah.
There's no point.
No point.
And nobody ever guesses my age correctly anyways, because I'm just so, you know, like
It's
with
nobody's
my interactions,
you know.
and so
I actually have someone that we're going to have on the show very soon, but she is like she's like in the public eye a lot, and she never says her age because she's not allowed, because she looks way younger for
Really?
the character she is, and so she doesn't
is
tell
this
anyone. You'll see.
Oh.
Who is
I want to
that?
know. Good Lord.
I have no idea.
Tell us. I know something happened with your brother and sister's grandfather. Would you like to tell us about what happened there?
Sure. Growing up, I was molested, and
How old were you?
I was like, I think 6. So my brain works in a weird way. I think a lot of people deal with trauma that have dealt with like a lot of trauma in life.
Mhm.
They just black out things.
Yes.
And all I remember from that was just like end of the school, being dropped off because nobody was ever around, and then him just scooting the bed closer to the wall. Like, that's all I remember. And it came to light later that like he had been doing things to my like sister and my sister's cousins and stuff, and so I just tried not to.
God.
I just tried not to cope with things like that. I was very like, I just didn't know how to handle things. Like I said, I was very shy and very meek, and when you're affected like that at such a young age, you don't know if you're going to get in trouble, if it's your fault, if it's like okay that somebody's doing this to you, especially if nobody's like telling you, setting you aside, like, hey, don't let anybody do this, don't let anybody do that. And I've never really shared that publicly with anyone, and it was really hard for my sister and her cousin to come open with their family about that situation. And that just happened like a year ago. And
Wow.
I think that's why I felt okay or comfortable to share that, because they finally shared it and he's passed on.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
So it's first off, it's incredibly brave of you to share
Very.
this on being the first time. So
Very brave.
so a year and a half ago is when your family members shared that it happened.
Yeah, a
Ish,
year and a half
year and a half-ish.
ago, about 2 years. And I think that her cousin came open and was like, hey, this happened to me. Did this happen to you? To my sister. And my
Oh.
sister was like, yeah, this happened. And it happened to my sister too. But we just didn't know what to do or how to like talk about it. So it's a really hard thing for a little girl to deal with, on all the pressures of, trying to fit in, trying to be accepted. I was just trying to be accepted.
How often did this happen? Just one time or several times? Often or?
A lot of things that were traumatic to me, I blacked out. I don't really remember. We weren't there for too long because they didn't stay in a relationship. But we lived in a really small place, really poor area of Dallas.
So I've been fortunate. I've never had that happen to me. It's very common. I think
It is.
we're all seeing that it's really common that people experience that kind of unfortunate event in their life. Was it something that came to a head that caused everyone to kind of come together and say, okay, obviously you're impacted by that, right? You don't realize anyone who's gone through that kind of trauma, maybe they don't experience the repercussions of that until later on. But was there something that came to a head for your family members and you that finally made you guys all come together and say, okay, let's discuss this?
I think, so when I was in 4th grade, my sister was dealing with like a lot of medical issues, and we had a scare that she had leukemia. And so they were like, I remember sitting outside in the front on the steps and just hearing all this stuff, like my mom yelling on the phone with their dad. And she was like, did that man touch my daughter? Did like that?
Oh my
Just
God, I
like
can't even
yelling
imagine.
and
Crazy, yeah.
something like that.
You're hearing this.
I'm hearing this,
happen?
and I'm just like,
Yes.
I'm like revisiting,
Mm-hmm.
but not allowing myself to see it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, of course it makes
Mhm.
sense.
And so I think that with me hearing that, I was like, okay, maybe it's okay for me to tell somebody, but maybe it's not. So I'm just going to tell my best friend. And at the time, we were really young, and like kids don't really talk about trauma and stuff like that. And I remember my friend, and I don't know if she'll listen or anything. I don't know if I should name her, maybe. I don't know. But I told
think
her.
you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing bad happened.
Her name was Ashley, and I told her about it, and I was like, I never told anybody about it, but I don't know what to do because I think my sister's experiencing the same thing. And I don't know. It was something that I dealt with, like it happened, but it doesn't define me, and I'm going to let it go. And I don't understand how I could be that resilient at such a young age,
Right.
but it was just like, I believed in the good in people so much that I instantly forgave people. And it was really like looking back, like if that was my little sister or if that was my daughter or if that was somebody that I loved, I would have been like, no, like it's okay. You can express these things. But for me, I just firmly believed in like, if you love somebody, then they're going to love you too. And like, you just need to love them harder. And eventually I figured out, okay, that's not how the world works.
Yeah, that's the innocence of
And, yeah.
children.
I think that's
what
exactly-
everyone would love to have our life to be, but it's not, sadly. And
Yeah.
so you figured all that out
Mm-hmm.
quickly.
When exactly did you tell your mom? Like,
I think I told my sister first. I sheltered her a lot.
your sister.
Yeah.
How old are you guys at this time?
I think I was in high school or maybe freshman in college.
Before you told your sister?
That's when I told my sister because
Wow.
it was just, I was like, it's just too much to, like, if you're going through puberty, you're going through
Yeah.
meeting new friends, you're going through all this stuff. You don't want to, especially since I was bullied so much, I didn't want to live in a world that just sucked, you know?
Sure.
And so I just made the best of every day, no matter if we didn't have any money to eat, no matter if we, didn't have lights on.
That's pretty amazing that you figured that
Yeah.
out so young.
I mean,
that's
I don't think I
crazy.
realized it, but
yeah. But that's just
I
who you
lived
are.
it.
I feel like God
You're,
gave you
yeah,
a
I'm like, you're
special
just
For
born
sure.
like that.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody
because
teaches
no,
you that.
that's pretty unbelievable. But I have one of my very, very, very dear friends. This happened to with her dad, and the whole family blocked it out. There were several sisters for years, and then my friend had a dream
Mhm.
where she woke up and was like,
As an adult?
as an
No
adult,
kidding.
and she was
Blocked
like,
out until
Adult.
until
adulthood?
that dream. And
It-
she
it's
woke up.
real.
I remember the day. It was like
Makes me
this
upset.
dream was this. Me too. This was like I had a dream that was so real that I couldn't like get rid of it. And so she called her sisters and she said, I had this really crazy dream. This didn't really happen to us, right? And they said we were just waiting for you to
Cope with it.
cope with it, talk about it,
Talk
bring
about
it up.
yeah.
Isn't our mind crazy?
That's
That
unbelievable.
is crazy.
It's
You know,
amazing.
the thing that, like I said, I'm fortunate that hasn't happened to me. And I know people who, I think we all know people who that's happened to. And, when it happens to children, there's such an innocence, right?
Yeah.
And they don't know any better. Like we know as adults, if you hit me, that's bad. If I'm dating someone that cheat on me, that's bad. If I make bad decisions, I know because I'm old enough, I have enough life experience. As children, their innocence blocks that. They don't know what's bad or not.
And they don't know how to
Yeah.
deal.
They don't know how to decipher that affection, if this is inappropriate or whatnot, until later on as they start understanding life. And so that's insanely amazing that you were able to really separate and keep such a good heart and deal with, some crazy traumatic stuff and be where you're at now.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
And you
Thank
you never turn to substances or
Well,
I'm kind of asking more or less.
so
That's a great question. How did that, how did it get impact you the bad way?
Gosh, it's so weird because I feel like I've lived so many different lives in this one life. And it's like there's different times and different situations and different traumas with every like bracket of my upbringing. And it wasn't until, because I was always like, I just wanted to do the right thing. I just wanted to always make everyone proud, especially my dad, because I was a tomboy and a daddy's girl. And so I just wanted to.
Well, and how did your dad deal with all that?
I didn't tell him.
Oh, he doesn't know now?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like
No.
I was like, how? I don't know, because a man is very.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd kill.
Yeah.
I'll sit on air if I ever found out something like that. I'm
I mean,
not
how
kidding.
could you
Yeah.
not?
I would kill
have
someone.
those-
Patrick too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So real quick, because
Yeah.
with that being said, Marcella, I am curious. Is this something you think you will ever share with your dad, or if your dad listens to this podcast, or
So there's so much and it's so little time to fit all this in. But me and my dad, we've had like a roller coaster kind of a relationship. I wanted to be everywhere that he was growing up. I wanted to do everything that he did. So we played basketball. I remember going to like Academy Sports and Outdoors, or right stuff the right price. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we would play basketball and run around the track and just do all these things. And then all of a sudden I think I started growing up, and hindsight, I realized that I started pulling back. But in the moment, you're a teenager. You're just very, this is my life. This is my life. This is what I have to do. You know, like you're very.
He couldn't handle it.
Well, I think I'm very sensitive because he's very sensitive. And I think that when your kid starts to pull back from you, and when they basically idolized you all growing up, you're like, well, crap, this is my person. Like, why are they pushing me away? And they don't know how to deal with it. And so I think he just pulled back because he was like, I don't know what to do. And we kind of just drifted. And I got so emotional from it because, teenage angst is real. And
The brain is
Very.
different.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I was just so upset. And I wrote poems about it in my class because I've been a writer my whole life. That's how I've coped with things. Like, that's the substance that I turn to. Like, if you go back in my like journals, dark stuff, y'all. Like,
Very interesting though.
Have you ever shared this with your dad? Because I will tell you, what you're saying really resonates with me, and here's why. So my son just turned 8, right?
Mm.
And I'm the man in his, like, he loves me. But I'm starting to notice little bits and pieces. I'm not he loves me when I have him, he's with me. But now when I talk to him and his mom is cool. We're cool. But sometimes it's very short, and I'm like, fuck, what do I do with this? I don't even know what to do with it. And then I do. I don't pull away. I try to pull closer, but that is something that resonates well with me because all that makes me know is just keep pushing in, right?
exactly. And that's what I needed.
But my question again is, have you ever shared that with your dad? Because I say that as a father, and this isn't matter of fact, this is just my
Yeah, of course.
view of it. I would imagine that him knowing that would probably be
Different.
so amazing for him to know that.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. Maybe if you guys aren't close now. Are y'all close?
We are. We
Okay.
fixed everything. Because I realized that, like, I'd like to reflect on how I acted towards everyone that I meet, how I make people feel, what I'm doing with my life, because I think that we're in control of our reality and we can choose to have a positive experience or a negative experience. And yes, we get emotional. Yes, we have crappy days, but every single thing that we do, we have control over. And so I realized that I was being kind of difficult and that I was all over the place, and like I found popularity and I was like, I've never been popular before, so I'm full throttle. And I just spent so much time with my friends that I was like, I'm sorry that I pulled away from you and I didn't make you a priority anymore. And we cried a lot on the phone, and it was like, okay, let's meet up. Let's not. It was like weird because it was awkward because it's like, I love you, I know you, but I don't.
Yeah.
How many years were you guys kind of?
I think it was probably through started when I started high school and then on. And now he has a baby girl and a whole other family, and they're so awesome, and he's loved, and we've patched things up, and I'm as involved in my little sister's life as much as I can be. And
Is he here local?
he's in Arlington,
Oh, that's good.
local.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
And where do you
Yeah.
live? What area?
Carrollton.
Okay. That's pretty local.
Yeah.
Ah, that's good.
Now,
Yeah.
tell me about your college, because I know something traumatic happened there too. There's a lot of trauma.
down to the nitty
Because my point of doing this is I want to show people that all this stuff happens and tragedy happens, and there is still people like you that can
Yes.
get through it, that
There's
not going to
light.
be defeated by it.
Or use
And-
it as an excuse.
yes,
Yeah.
or use it as an excuse. And
Mm.
you are such an example for that. That's why, because you have had a lot of trauma
Yeah.
to deal with in your life. And a lot of people have trauma, but some people have a little trauma and they are going to use that as I'm never going to get up. I'm going to be so depressed and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And here you are, this Miss Positive, which we're going to get to. The whole point of
Yeah.
Yeah.
doing these shows is to show people what you can do to do better. And you are such an example. But I think it's important that people get to know you
Yeah.
and know that whole part.
Definitely.
And I know it's hard to talk about.
Of course. And I appreciate that because I'm a very, very deep person. And when you first meet me, you'd never realize that. But it's because I choose to show you, like
Mhm.
how we use Instagram and social media.
Yeah.
We choose what content to
Right.
put out there.
Right.
We choose what filters. We choose what perceptions. We choose how we present ourselves.
Right.
And I learned in high school that you can present yourself in a certain way and people like you and enjoy you. And you don't have to be fake. You just have to be, you just don't have to be like, oh
You have to
my
adapt
God.
sometimes. Yeah. Yeah.
What was that?
Oh my God. But in college, I was also raped. It was, I drank too much. I don't remember it. I don't know if I was date raped, drugged, or whatever, but I remember it was in my car. And the next day, when I tried to turn on my vehicle, it smelled like, I guess, baked pea. Like
Oh.
it was coming through like the vents
Baked
and baked
E?
pea. Like I can't even express like the stench of it.
Trying to imagine what baked pieces is
Like just like like somebody pees on a couch pillow and then lets it bake in the sun.
Oh.
And I was just like, I was still blurry, and I had rehearsal early that morning at like 5 a.m. and it was still dark, and I was like, I wasn't even there. And I remember standing on the field with my like little boots, white boots and little Texas hat on, and I'm just like swaying. I'm about
What
to
school
pass
is
out.
this?
Tyler Junior College. I was an Apache Bell.
Ooh.
Hey.
Hey.
So
And
what happened? Were you at a party?
Yeah, was this a date? Was this a
Was it a
friend? Do you
date?
know who it was?
it was a friend. I was I always made friends with everyone that I met, and I was very kind and accepting of everybody. And I was with my roommate, and we went to hang out with these two guys, and like that's the last that I remember. She said that she went into Whataburger and I didn't want anything. And so I waited in the car with that guy, and she came back, and she thought that we were like, I was consenting to it. And so she was like, I just let you guys do your thing. And I was like,
Well, I was not wanting to do that.
I was like, okay.
Do you remember any of that?
No, I just remember waking up in my bed, in my little twin size bed, And I mean, that's a danger that I guess all people risk, going out with drinking and hanging out with strangers and stuff like that. But I just
want to make one thing clear, because you say you don't remember it. Because I know people listening can be very judgmental. So I want you to make sure that you are telling the story so people don't question. Like, if you don't remember anything, how do you know that you were raped?
Yeah.
She said her friend saw them.
Yeah.
Well, but her friend thought they were consensual.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that night we went out, and
The night after, or
No,
that night, the night of.
that night of, we went out, and I remember the guy, he was like smitten with me. He was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful," and all this stuff, and just talking about how pretty I was. And I was like, "Oh, thanks." I don't remember us drinking that much. I remember maybe we had one drink, and then it was it was done. But there was like evidence of like stuff that happened. And I think that the reason why I blacked out with that is because of my past trauma, because that was a pattern that I had experienced in the past. And so,
You know, there's a lot of drugs nowadays also. I mean, there's GHB.
Yeah.
That's definitely one that takes nothing. You can slip that in someone's drink and knock them out if they're not used to it, if that's not a drug that they take normally. So, and it sounds so characteristic of that. I have no idea clearly, but
yeah.
I mean, I've seen it knock people out before. People who were trying to take it. You know?
Me
I'm
too.
like, not that I've given it to anyone. I'm talking about people who
Yeah, a 300-pound man can
yeah.
be knocked on their ass.
and full blown knocked out. Like it's an insane thing. So it sounds pretty characteristic, and it's easy. It's liquid, so it's easy to slip in someone's drink. But that's really crazy.
That's
so continue
scary.
on. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think I was just an impressionable girl who was just trying to be like, have friends and have fun. And I would drink whenever my friends would drink, you know? And
Would you sloppy drink? Like get to sloppy pretty consistently?
I
or-
didn't learn how to get sloppy till later.
Yeah. So
Did you confront him?
I was literally
Oh
about
my
to
God.
ask that because
No.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm really curious. So you find out this happens, all the symptoms, everything's there to show that it did happen. Did you confront him?
So in the morning, and
In the morning, like, where were you?
I was in my bed.
Okay.
And
And you didn't know how you got there.
no.
Oh, okay.
And we had to, my other roommates who were already there, we were in a room of 4. So they were like, "Vivian, wake up. We have to go to practice." And I was like, "Oh crap. Where am I? Like what's going on?" And just like, if you've ever been like really like blackout drunk before, you like the next day is kind of just a dream, like just a blur. And it was all just a blur.
And that's when you got in your car? And
No, the next day after
after
rehearsal and everything. But it was just so everything that's traumatic that's happened to me, I've very purposely put it in a place that I don't open. Because if I dwell on that stuff, it consumes my life. And that happened to me when I had to be a part of this reality show and everything.
We're going to talk about that in
Yeah.
the next hour, but yeah.
So
Yeah.
did you end up confronting the guy?
I like asked him about it, and I was like, "Hey, did we?" And he kind of like laughed and was like, "Yeah." And I was like, I don't really remember. I don't think girls know how to, like, sweet girls don't know how to like really confront somebody that does that to them, because they don't know if it's like, if they were consenting to it, or if it's like, okay, because I was drinking and you were drinking, or if they did slip you drugs, you don't really want to confront somebody like that. I was just like, if you ask my best friend, Misty, she can vouch for me. I was very like passive. I was very, it's okay. I forgive you. Clean it up. Fix yourself. And it wasn't until that a lot later that I learned how to grow a backbone and like be direct with people, because I was constantly walked all over. And like I watched the movie Joker the other day.
I want to see that.
I heard it's awesome.
It was really
I
good.
heard it's really good.
Because it shows the levels of humanity that it takes for somebody to break, to
That's what I heard. It's really good.
to go from the light. So if you think of souls on a spectrum of light, we have a choice to go towards the light or towards the dark. And with every day, we go back and forth. More light, less light, more light, less light. And I can see why somebody would choose to go to the darkness if the light was constantly slapping them into the face or blinding them or making them feel things that the darkness should make them feel. So
what was the reaction? So he said yes, he laughed or whatever. And what happened from there?
Yeah, I think that can be maybe confusing because, and a lot of people, like you said earlier, people who are listening, which we don't really give a shit if they're judgmental or not, but it is very hard, I think, if something like that happens to you and maybe in the moment, whether you're drugged or hammered drunk, we would hope that a stand-up gentleman would put you to bed and say, this is not something I do. We don't even know if this is what you want. But at the time, like, we don't know if you were saying, yeah, I mean, you don't know. You might have been blackout into it at the time, but then to wake up and realize that's not something I wanted to do. I think the people who would say like, well, she was wasted, or it's the same people who say she deserved it for what she wore. Yeah. I can imagine that that's very traumatizing because you don't know. It's different if you are sober and you're saying no. I mean, you have people like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then with that, I can imagine that's super confusing. Like,
It's
but
a very
that's not
good
what
explanation.
I wanted at all.
That's a really good
But I
explanation,
think
actually.
at the time, and then you just don't know what you were saying or doing.
Exactly.
And then the guy, that's his excuse. You said yes.
Sure.
But you would hope that we would raise boys and raise men to tell the woman, like, you are very, let's talk about this later. Like, I'm going to put you to bed, or you know, there are guys who do that, but then you have your men who don't.
You know, the majority of men.
They see an opportunity
For sure.
and they see it as she's saying yes. So when she wakes up and says she didn't want that, I can tell her, well, you said yes at the time.
And I didn't want to be the victim, you know, because I came from such a like victim, easy to be victim world in life that I was always like, I'm not going to be the victim. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of that energy, that vibe. So anything that I do, I'm going to own it. And that's just going to be what it is. And so I think that that's another reason why I was just like, okay.
Well, yeah. What would you say?
Did anything progress after that?
No,
Did you guys?
I don't even remember him for the rest of the time that I was there.
Because with something like that, can you even press charges if they say, well, she was drunk and said yeah? I mean, how does that work? Like,
I don't know. It's a good question.
you know what I mean? Like, what are the rules with all that stuff? That seems very confusing.
I don't know, honestly. I just, from listening to it, I think that is a fine line. When I hear this, I think there's such a fine line that to press charges, you would have to have an assault, actually. Like where someone is like assaulting you. I don't know where the fine line is when someone is passed out and all that. I mean, I really don't know. Yeah. Because the way you prove it, like how do you 1,000,000% prove it?
There is a documentary on Netflix, and I'm going to have to look it up, and I'll say it while we keep talking, about two girls who got raped by in a small town. And another one, same thing, and nobody believed them. One girl ended up killing herself at another school, and then these two the town attacked them but they were also inebriated and wasted, and so everybody was like, well, these boys wouldn't do that. They're football players, they're the town people. I mean, even like the mayor and the police were on the boys' side.
It's a real story?
This is a real story. It's a documentary on Netflix, and I'm gonna look it up in a second. I watched it and it kind of blew my mind, but then everybody attacks the woman because they were drinking or they were maybe not making the right choices. And so they blame them instead of the
Which,
men.
let's make it clear, is never okay to do.
No.
If,
Yeah.
Even if you make those choices, and even
sure.
if you drink too much and say there's a day when you didn't eat a whole lot, and it just happens to be a party, and whatever, I don't know, people doing shots, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It does not give anyone the right to do that. So let's make that clear. But I don't know about how filing charges, how that works. It just is a fine line with all that.
I agree with you on the fine line part, because if you're in the situation where both of you guys are vibing with each other or appearing to vibe with each other, and I mean, anytime there's alcohol or drugs involved, everything lessens. Or you're not as aware, and it's one of those crazy things. So I think it's a very tough fine line for sure.
Right.
And it's man, that's a tough one.
It is
Because,
a tough one.
I mean, usually the worst decisions are made under the influence.
Yeah.
For sure with people.
Well, and it's hard that you've had to go through something like that,
Yeah.
because it's like you just have to deal with that and find a way to, like you said, but being a light for people, and kind of, you almost have to work through that yourself, because nobody is going to really help you in that.
It's so being this way is a practice. It's not just innate and it never goes away. Like I dwindle and I fade into the darkness sometimes, and I feel like I'm,
Because you're human.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There's days where I'm just like, I just want to crawl into a hole and just not see a single person today.
Right.
That is so normal.
Yeah.
I feel like that all the time.
Yeah.
Honestly, man. I'm just kidding.
Oh no, but we all
Yeah.
have that. But
Yeah.
then what you said earlier, there's a choice.
Mhm.
It's the
For
whatever
sure.
choice you make. And I think everyone, I truly believe that every single human on this planet, every single day could say, I don't want to get up. I
Yeah.
just don't. I mean, everyone deals with a lot of stuff in the world, and it's always the choice that you make about, I'm not going to let that put me down. And then there's, you can have those days sometimes. Take that day, but make it only one.
Yeah, we have a
For sure.
rule.
Just one.
The most is 3.
I was going
But
to say, you give them
something-
3 days.
3 days.
But
When
I'm
it's
just saying
traumatic.
in a regular, world, I don't know. You have, as girls, a major PMS moment, whatever, that is like, yeah, okay, take a day.
I'll be the one that hates to admit it, but guys PMS.
I know they do. I know.
No, yeah, there's
But
hormones.
but the thing is it's what you're saying is really true. It's a choice. I mean, I think every
It
one
is
of
a
us
choice.
here have our bad days, and at the moment, it feels so real. I mean, bad shit happens, and at that moment, it's hard to reflect sometimes on, oh, I got this going for me, and I have a great son, and I'm on a great show, and all these great people, and a great job, and blah blah blah, a great girlfriend. You're just thinking this sucks, and it can be overwhelming. But you're right. I mean,
I'm sure you do. I mean,
Yeah.
dealing with one arm and one hand,
Yeah.
like that is hard. I mean, you had a career that was, you
I went-
want to open your own business. I mean, I think about that a lot.
Yeah, I went through
Right.
3 years of depression,
Mhm.
and then my brother died. My dad had
Right.
cancer.
Oh my God.
It sucked. It
Yeah.
sucked. Like I was pissed at everything. I was pissed at the air. I was pissed at the table.
How dare you?
How dare you exist?
Fucking air.
But that's not, you are, I think,
Yeah, both of you actually.
yeah, it's such examples. I mean, and happy and
And
Yeah.
in
Good
different things, like
attitudes.
different aspects of what is traumatizing. I mean, so those are really awful. But then I think, what did they say that if you're grateful, like you just can't be negative? What is
Yeah.
that saying? I can't even think of it right now.
I don't know, but I have something here that Marcella found yesterday, and I
Oh, it's
wanted
so
you
cool.
to read it to end before we go to our Miss Polly segment, because I think this is incredible to
Yeah, I
think
saw
about.
this, which is weird timing because you're
Yes.
coming on the show, and then I saw this on Facebook
I brought it because it reminded me.
with this girl I used to dance with. But by the way, if
At the
anybody
lodge with the men's club.
on that pole, yeah,
Oh my gosh. How dare you, sir?
that's very offensive to dancers. I am so sick of saying it's not on the pole.
Listen, J-Lo's changed it.
It's very acceptable now.
By the way, from what I was saying earlier, Audrey and Daisy is the documentary on Netflix. If anybody wants to watch it, about that kind of story, if anybody's listening about wanting to watch a good documentary, because I'm big on documentaries. By the way, I'm obsessed. Okay, so this says you are holding a cup of coffee when someone comes along and bumps into you or shakes your arm, making you spill your coffee everywhere. Why did you spill your coffee? Well, because someone bumped into me. Nope. You spilled the coffee because there is coffee in your cup. Had there been tea in your cup, you would have spilled tea. Whatever is inside the cup is what will spill out. Therefore, when life comes along and shakes you, which will happen, whatever is inside of you will come out. It's easy to fake it until you get rattled. So we have to ask ourselves, what's in my cup? When life gets tough, what spills over? Joy, gratefulness, peace, and humility, anger, bitterness, harsh words, and reactions. So we have to ask, that's the same thing. Life provides the cup. You choose how to fill it. Today, let's work towards filling our cups with gratitude, forgiveness, joy, words of affirmation, and kindness, gentleness, and love for others.
That's good.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I never thought about it like that. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
I spilled coffee because
That's
it was
really good.
Yeah.
the coffee in my cup.
And just like how it says that, people don't realize the power of their words.
Mm-hmm.
The things that you say every day, even in moments where you do spill your, oh shit.
Yeah.
All those negative things that come out, that creates your reality. Whatever you voice, the word is God, and God is the word. I am what? You get to choose every single day who you are
Mm-hmm.
and what you become.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't think people realize that. I do a lot. I'm like a real mega nerd. I study like quantum physics and like the law of attraction and all this.
But I
like,
think that's so cool. I love that stuff. Law of
I
attraction
love
stuff.
it.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
totally believe it too.
It is
it's
amazing.
so true.
And what's the other thing that we love is, did you have a bad day or did you have just a bad 10 minutes?
Moments. Yeah.
For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you spill things, especially. I've always been such a big person on when kids spill something,
Not get mad.
and
Yeah.
I see people get so angry at the kids. I'm always like,
And it
They
makes them
didn't mean
so
it.
nervous.
like I'm
Yeah.
always like, it's
Yeah.
okay.
That is for sure. When
Nothing
Jet
will.
spills something, I mean, you can see his eyes kind of get big. Like,
Yes.
shit. I'm like, it's all right. It's okay.
Well, because it's an act. Typically, the kid is not like spilling that.
Have you met my son?
F you, Dad.
Clean this
No, it's
shit
true.
up.
Enjoy your evening.
Back to the bathroom. We were locked there all night. No,
I mean,
it's
I
exactly
am
right.
so clumsy. I have
Maybe that's why I
oddly
did that.
long
funny.
monkey arms, and I just like hit stuff. And to think about people getting so mad, it's just clean it. I mean, typically I'll clean it myself,
Yeah.
but yeah, you've never been one to get mad at us.
Patrick, the other day after a photo shoot, I had this big tray of
You should have to laugh.
fruit, like fresh fruit tray, whatever. And I guess the top wasn't closed all the way. So he tried to take it out of the refrigerator, and the whole entire, this was from Sam's, like huge. The whole entire thing ended up on the floor. He was so mad. I was like, really? Over fruit?
He's mad at you?
No, it
I was just
about
mad
himself.
in general, yeah.
And I'm like,
Well,
what's
it's the
wrong
I
with
can see
you?
why he'd be pissed. He has to
Yeah.
clean up the sticky shit all over the floor and all
it's,
this.
it's not even
Really?
that though. It's that you knew you should have checked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
For
what
sure.
that's what gets me mad. I'm like, man, I know I should have checked that shit, and now it's on the floor. I can't eat it.
He was more like, it's the first time I wanted some fruit in like 2 weeks. It's on the floor.
Shocking, dramatic.
Damn craving.
So funny. That is
He
so
goes,
funny.
what do I do? Can I wash it off? I go, ew, no. It's so
What kind of
gross.
fruit
You
was it? You
can.
could have washed the fruit off, unless you guys were just stepping all over it. The dog pissed
No,
on it.
it just looked so gross. I was like, no.
That is too funny.
I know if some stuff you just have to laugh about it. Or sometimes, have you ever had such a bad day and things just keep getting
Yes,
worse?
one of
Yep.
Yes.
That at some point
Oh
you're
my
like,
God.
This is a joke.
are you
Where's the
putting it on
cameras?
me?
Where's the cameras right now?
At some
Show me.
point you just have to
Ashton.
laugh and be like, this is my day today, so I just have to laugh at what's coming instead of getting so mad.
That's
all
the funniest
time.
shit because that
Yes.
is very true. It is one of those things where, but it's. I think the funnier thing is when you can actually recognize
And laugh
"Fuck,
about
that's
it.
my day.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
Yeah,
And that's
laugh.
like literally it.
Yeah,
but
like-
it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
But
No.
when you do, there's moments where you recognize,
Yeah,
Fuck,
you're
that's just my
waiting,
day.
You're,
All
wait-
right.
you're waiting for the next thing to happen.
Yeah, and I'm
You're
just
like,
gonna
what's
laugh
next?
about it. Yeah,
and you're
get
truly
brain
not
tested.
pissed off. You're
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
fuck it. All right, that's my day.
Tomorrow will be a better day.
So funny.
Hey, let's call Miss Polly.
Polly.
I was like, that was quick.
I'm gonna save it just to play that for y'all.
Hello, hello.
Hi, my love.
New phone. Who dis?
New phone. Who did this?
Here's your jingle.
This is Penis and Pussy Talk.
That should lighten up any day, right? Miss Polly, I have a question for you.
Yes.
And we have Vivian here with us today,
Yes.
by the way.
Vivian is one of our
Hello?
Too Posh models, and she's an absolute doll.
Hello, Vivian.
Hello, Miss Polly.
Tell us, why do men find high heels so attractive? And there is
I could tell you that.
there is a study that says women will not wear them when going on a date with an ugly guy because they don't want to have sex with him.
Why would you be going on a date with an ugly guy in the first place?
The whole point, too.
Well,
Well, the reason actually that women wear high heels, number one, it changes the way we walk.
True.
So we strut. We
True.
strut.
Strut.
You put us in high heels,
Hell
we
yeah.
strut. And so it causes our hips to sway and it shortens our
Slutty.
stride.
Hip wavers.
So we walk differently and it makes us more attractive.
It's true.
It's very true.
It is.
Yeah,
Of course, it also, we wear them to make ourselves feel taller, to feel better about ourselves, and to feel more womanly. But we
love high
also
heels.
do it because guys look at us differently.
there's something super sexy about heels, stilettos. I'm not a fan
Yes.
of like the little small,
yeah.
like 1 or 2 inch. Like, I
No.
think it's so
What's the
unsexy.
point?
Go make that for work. But I mean, like I always prefer to see my woman in heels, like heels.
what about wedges?
Wedges? I think wedges can be sexy, but not the short wedges. They got to be
Yeah,
the
same.
big,
Right.
thick wedges.
Same.
Like, but it has to be.
Why wear short ones?
I mean, you see people doing it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
usually the Sharon and Karens of
It
the world.
is. I was
for
just
sure.
thinking about
But
Sharon and Kate.
Those
No,
hoes.
they're just they're definitely not hoes. But yeah,
But
there's something
I-
sexy about the heels, like tall.
It
6-inch
is sexy,
stilettos.
but I mean, I don't know if I've gone on a date if I'll wear flats just because he's ugly.
First of all, I'm not going on a date with an ugly man. Second, I'm going to wear heels no matter what. My only thing is I could never date someone that is shorter than me in my heels. And I wear really high heels. So if you're shorter than
How tall
I
are
am,
you?
Yeah.
5'8".
So with your heels, what are you, 5'11"? 5'10"?
6.
6 foot.
Are you like 6 foot?
I was about 6
foot
feet.
minimum.
How tall are you?
Yep.
How tall are your, like, what's the tallest heels you wear? That are like normal, like just
She wears high heels.
Yeah, I know you wear high heels,
yeah,
but like
really
how
high.
high are they?
well,
Like
typically it's not even the heel, it's the platform
Yes.
on the
Okay.
chunk at the bottom.
All about it.
I don't know how high they are. I mean, maybe, what's that?
8 inches.
like,
8
yeah, 8 inch. You little dancing.
Well, that's
Yeah.
typically
Lord.
Walking
the.
around
You're
on your
asking
toes.
for it,
The heels-
Marcella.
I do.
You're
Oh my
asking
Gosh,
for
how
it.
dare
Also,
you?
Paris.
You know,
Go ahead, Miss Polly.
I was just going to say the heels that we sell, because we sell pleasers. I don't know
Okay,
if you know what
those
those
are-
are,
What
but
are those?
do.
Pleasers?
What are
Yeah.
pleasers?
Those are stripper shoes.
Ah.
I sell
Super
those
cute.
too.
I need some of those.
yeah,
so
and
funny.
they're commonly 8 inches is the height that most
Yeah.
of them want.
Now we're talking.
Well,
Yeah.
the platform, though, on
Of course,
pleasers
I
are
fell
retarded.
off of those.
Miss Polly, I've done it too. We got pleasers once and they had like LED lights on the
Oh my
bottom.
God.
What?
And I tried to walk in them. They're so funny. No, some pleaser shoes
I
have
fell
like a
over.
goldfish in it and
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
Like,
I've
it's
seen those.
crazy.
Those are the best.
Mhm.
When did you wear LED lights?
Yeah.
When we were selling them, I opened the shoebox.
That's funny.
and I look like Bambi. I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's
That
really
is
fun.
so funny.
I don't know
Yeah.
how they dance in those, but dancing in heels for
Well-
women is sexy too. Like there's, girls have
It
heels
is.
classes.
It flexes your calf muscle and your legs.
Paris
look
Hilton,
hotter.
not that she's
Yeah.
ever cleaned a damn thing in her life, but says if you clean in your high heels, it like works out your calves.
That was the worst thing I've ever heard you say since I've known you. You've lost some
Why did
credibility
you
with me.
say that?
She said it. You could have just said, "I have learned." Next time the Paris Hilton quote comes in, just make it your own if it's cool. Like, you know what? I've learned that cleaning in my heels is way hotter.
Was that
Say
a
that,
childhood
Marcella,
love of yours?
that's hot.
But it's
That's
not
so
like
hot.
it's not like I really clean either, so I can't even say. You clean in your heels.
So funny.
I mean, I'm not vacuuming or anything, so
God.
I don't know.
What's the highest
I'm going to
you
go
wear?
put on some heels and vacuum
Six-
my floor now.
I think they're 6 inches, the
You too?
highest.
You same thing for you? You wear heels?
Oh,
Yes.
I am known to wear heels.
No way.
My mom wore heels while she was 9 months pregnant.
Dude, that's so awesome.
Get it.
Yeah.
Always. Shutting down the show.
Yeah.
I would get made fun of at competition a full weekend, hours and hours a day, and I would get totally dressed up with my kids and run in my high heels.
Yeah, but does it hurt for you?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Does
Hurts
it?
for
Oh, yeah.
everyone.
Torture.
Everyone.
Torture.
No pain, no
Torture.
gain,
Is
baby.
it
No
torture?
beauty is
Torture.
pain.
But isn't it more torture
Beauty
to wear
is
flats?
pain.
No.
No.
No?
Oh my God.
No, I'm talking from the
So
same.
painful.
So, wow.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't think about
It is
that.
so painful. And if you are somewhere, like I was just at a wedding somewhere and we had to stand in line for a while to get like drinks.
Oh, standing still is the worst.
Standing still and just
Absolutely.
standing,
Really?
and you kind of go,
Yeah.
oh my
Torture.
God,
That
if
is
I
so
can't
weird.
sit
Yep.
down soon, I'm about to flip
Because the
out.
pressure.
I
Pain is
had no
beauty.
It's like-
idea.
Oh,
It's
it's
like
so hard.
somebody's pushing a pressure on you.
So when I
I
yeah.
think Bernie. I think you need to put on a pair of heels.
I
Oh,
do
wow.
too.
You know what? I will
What size
just
are you,
I will
Bernie?
just enjoy watching my girl
Nope.
wear her heels and watch y'all wearing
I-
heels.
No,
That's
I
it.
am with Miss Polly. What size are you?
I've done
I don't know what
Yeah,
size heels I
exactly.
am.
Looks like a
but,
10.
We make them in your
I am a 12,
size.
all right?
We can get you some.
How funny would it be,
That's
though, to
okay.
have you walk
They
across?
have
yeah.
your size.
God, that would be not
Come
funny if I
on.
broke my ankle.
That would
Yeah.
not be
You
fun.
could
But I will
do
tell you
it.
this though, what
Do
heels
it.
does, because I've worked in, for 7 or 8 years, I worked in foot and ankle surgery, and
Oh.
we would deal with a lot of bunions from girls
Oh.
wearing heels.
Of course.
So,
Yep.
or we would
Yep.
deal with arthritis in the big toe because you guys are sitting at 7 to 12 inches. And then what would happen is these girls would have to get their big toe fused straight, and because it takes the articulation where you can't move it around where it doesn't hurt. But yeah, so
So
FYI.
see, that's why it hurts.
yeah,
You know it all.
Imagine all the bunions and
I don't
And
have
yet-
any bunions.
And yet,
thank God you're young.
Yay.
I mean,
but
I do
I'm
have
over here
dancer
going,
feet. So.
and yet Bernie wants to see a woman in
Hell
heels.
yeah. Here's the thing. I do because I know where to send y'all when you're going to get your bunions fixed.
Oh, wow.
So good.
Hey, I'm happy with like some bear slippers or something.
Some
I have
slippers.
those too. I have monster
That does
slippers.
not
You're wearing
surprise me.
furry slippers now.
Oh, I have my slides on, yes. And I do have a big pair of monster feet. Like they're
Do you?
Oh yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, the first time, so when I see Stacy, we work out together at the time, and so the first time we went on a date, she wore heels, and I was like, holy fuck. It's amazing how different it makes.
She's like, I clean up nice.
she fucking
Yeah.
cleans up super nice. She looks awesome when she's in her workout clothes, but man, heels.
His girlfriend is like
Oh yeah.
jacked.
Like super fitness.
Yes.
Yeah, she's pretty
Yeah.
legit.
Mhm.
She's legit. But in heels, she's that much more legit.
Exactly. Ooh. Question of the day, please.
The Two Posh Girls ask the question of the day.
Question of the day. Can you accept a compliment or does it embarrass you?
I accept them.
Hell yeah.
I just do. And I remember one time when I was in college, I was performing for like a Greek event or whatever. And somebody came up to me and was like, "You are such a good dancer." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." And then she was like, you accept compliments really well. And I was like,
Thank
"Why
you.
did you compliment me?"
You're like, now I don't
I
know.
don't know what to do right now.
Oh, that is awesome.
I'm
You're
sorry.
like, is that another compliment?
No, I suck at dancing. Like, what do you want me to say?
Right.
That's
I always
funny.
just accept them because I'm like, I don't want to ever make anybody feel bad for what they're like trying to make me feel good, you know?
That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's an interesting question. Do y'all?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I tend to take it.
I know. I'm
well.
always like, really? Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's more my reaction.
Really?
I don't at all. But
You
it's
don't.
not that I'm embarrassed by it. It's that I know myself better than you, and I think either you're lying or you're full of shit. Whatever.
So what's your reaction when you get a compliment?
I still say thank you, whatever. But in my mind, I'm
Yeah.
like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
It depends. So it depends also. I mean, I always enjoy a compliment. Who doesn't like to have something
Right.
nice said, right? And my compliments are pretty commonly about like how I look in the sense of like I'm in crazy, incredible shape
Right.
and been having one arm and I can be at the gym. I get the compliment all the time at the gym of like, man, you look balanced, you look how do you do that? And
But that's
so-
really inspiring.
So it's
too,
inspiring.
though. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm used to that compliment, and
Your hand is looking super black today.
that's right. It looks like Darth Vader. I was matching the stormtrooper hand.
Yes.
So for anyone who wants to see it, look at it.
So awesome.
It's so
Right?
Really crazy.
Terminator.
I think I got my Halloween costume.
I was about to
ready
say,
for this right here.
just have Stacy be the stormtrooper outfit.
This year, so she's
Hot.
gonna be Captain Marvel.
Oh, well,
and,
there you go. Anything superhero,
And then
yeah.
I think I'm supposed to be Iron Man, or I may be
How
Darth Vader
perfect.
now.
How could
I
you
know.
not?
I
That's
know.
perfect.
I know.
There you
So,
go.
Miss Polly, how about you? Do you accept compliments?
I think it depends on the compliment sometimes and who's giving it, I guess.
Yeah, because
Like if it's
Huh.
it could be like Mean Girls. I mean,
superficial.
Yeah.
Yes,
So when they say
exactly.
something like, you know
because
what?
you get those, they're like, "Oh, you look so cute today," and
So
it's like,
do you take the good compliments?
That wasn't. No.
Do you take the
But
good
I usually
compliments
say
like?
thank you.
Do you take the good compliments like? You know what? You sure do know your butt plugs very, very well. So like that, or who's the best fiber?
Well,
That's professional compliment.
Actually, it's more along the lines of you're really a subject matter expert, and I'm like, yes, I am. Thank you.
Yes, and you definitely are.
Are for sure.
And on that note, we're going to thank everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.